All right, Mark, Royce, Mary, Barra, we're going to explain to you what's going on with your C8 Z06 fuel system and why the car does not like bad fuel. This is actually like a patent paper, or at least just an educational paper. I took a screenshot of it. Ironically, when I typed in, what did I type in? You can type this in on Google. What did I type in? I searched two fluids recoalesce split at a T. And I went to images, okay? And one of the very first images is this, so I clicked it. And when that popped up, I took a screenshot of it. So now we're going to talk about what it is. Let me get to the screenshot because that will allow us to expand it. Okay. These are inventions, guys, and General Motors coincidentally created this invention on their fuel system. So you have the feed, and then you have two different phases of fluid. And so the heavy phase is going to go this way, and the light phase is going to stay up top. And they're going to go, light phase is all going to go this way, and heavy phase is all going to go this way. Now, let's say that GM doesn't have this exact device, and they've just got a normal Y. And let's say that instead of the Y be gravity effective, let's just say that the Y is oriented in the straight up and down position. You're still going to run into the same issue with bad gasoline, where you have water ethanol on one phase and you have the gasoline on the other phase after the gasoline gets water in it. So I'm inside of a cargo van right now, okay? And coincidentally, I came out here because I have magnets, I have spinach, and I have rotisserie chicken wrapper thing from the grocery store. And what I've done is I have this Y right here. See this Y in the van, Mark and Mary? Okay, Taj. I know Taj is retired. Aaron Link, Josh Holder, all these guys. I'm trying to remember what the engine guy's name is. I can't remember right off the top of my head. The point is, you have fuel that is mixed up of two different phases. Water meth, we'll say, is the spinach, and we'll say the gasoline is the, hang on, when did the light go out? Give me a second here. Luckily I got the other lights on here, but still it's annoying the white light went out. Give me a moment. Okay. So, spinach is the water meth. The red, this paper here is the gasoline. So what happens is, at first it's random which one goes which way at the Y. Okay, and I apologize about the handle and the string. That's how I open the door. Forget about that. Okay, and I apologize about this handle here. Forget about that too. Okay, so just focus on the spinach and the paper. Okay, that's all we're talking about in the Y. So what happens is, there's approximately 70 PSI in this line because it's our low side fuel pressure line, which brings the fuel up to the two high side pumps. And so you have a Y or a T or a fork of some sort. So assuming that you don't have one oriented to the upward direction, the other one oriented to the downward direction, and you even created a non-gravity affectable Y, which I don't think you currently have, but let's say you even did, it's still not going to solve your problem because like fluids recoalesce together. So when your fluid is, anybody who's ever mixed water and olive oil in a saucepan, you know you can get it to where there's just like these little globs that are lots of tiny little globs instead of just one big glob of water, one big glob of olive oil. You can kind of mix them together to where it's a lot of little blobs. So when you're driving your C8 Z06 around, it creates lots of little blobs, okay, which is good because that means you don't have any one huge concentration of water ethanol. It's just kind of coming into the, chamber in these little tiny pockets, which is what you want. But the C8 Z06 coincidentally has this invention right here. It recoalesces the two fluids at the Y. And so here's what happens. So we're going to say that the gasoline has already coincidentally chosen one path. And we're going to say that the water meth is also coincidentally, this kind of sucks because the magnet's stronger than the spinach leaf. Okay, that's not going to work very well. Okay, so anyhow, you get the idea. So the water meth's going to go this way, the gasoline's going to go this way, and as new blobs approach, am I going to combine with this guy who I don't like, or am I going to combine with these guys who I like? I'm going to combine with these guys who I like. As this guy here approaches, am I going to combine? Who am I going to combine with? The guys who I don't like or the guys who I like? I'm going to combine with the guys who I like on a like substance. And so you're going to coincidentally get this recoalescence phase. This is not working well at all. Okay. Note to self, don't use spinach leaves. But anyway, you get the idea. As all of these new globs, your gasoline and ethanol come up, ethanol is going to go one way, gasoline is going to go the other. And so that exaggerates the problem. It exacerbates, whatever the word is. It creates a worse situation than you already had in the Z06, because what happens is you only get water meth in general going to one high side pump, and you only get gasoline going to the other high side pump. So you get two distinct mixtures going to two separate engine banks. And of course, since you only have one low side pump, only one feed pressure, okay, the computer on one wideband saying, hey, you're really lean over here, and the computer on the other wideband saying, hey, you're really rich over here. And that really lean and really rich is, it's not solvable because you've only got the one low side pump feeding the pressure to both the two high side pumps. By the way, the two high side pumps, Mark and Mary, are going to run at two different pressures because gasoline and water meth run at two different pressures once they run through your pump. It's going to create two different pressures due to the fluid, the differences in fluid. So what we need is, we need two separate low side lines. So instead, I want you to imagine that this fork didn't exist, and we mix the spinach back in here. So, okay, you get the idea. Sorry about this. Really not well thought through. I didn't have any markers handy, but now you get everything still jumbled, and it goes one line, and then you would have a separate feed line from the second low side pump. There's no T anymore. You have one low side pump picking up little bits of globs of each. It goes up to the high side pump on that one bank, and you have another low side pump picking up little globs of each in the tank, and it has its own dedicated feed line that goes up to the other high side pump at the other bank. And now the Z06 and upcoming lt6 engine Corvette no longer experiences super rich lean conditions on the two opposing banks when you get a little bit of bad fuel. And the gasoline, bad fuel is very common. It can't be avoided. So we all know that by now that the lt6 car, the twin turbo car, blew up its motor in southern Ohio down by Marietta, okay, Athens, Marietta area. So it's not a secret anymore, guys. We know what's going on. It's not a secret that Harlan is getting on General Motors' case about the warranties. Other magazine publications are saying that Harlan's getting on General Motors' case about the warranty policies, and that's what the disagreement was about. Rest assured, when Harlan sees my Corvette and other Corvettes pulling into service departments with raised oil levels, because this situation causes one bank to run extremely rich, which puts gasoline, water meth, whichever it is, whichever bank's running the richest, puts that down into the crankcase oil, because it washes down the cylinders because it doesn't ignite, okay, because there's too much fluid, too much, whether it's water meth or whether it's gasoline, there's too much fluid in the chamber that doesn't ignite, and it goes down the cylinder walls into the crankcase. That raises up the oil level. That raised oil level bends connecting rods when the piston comes down and slaps the too high of oil level on a cold start. And that's what's causing the catastrophic engine failures on the Z06. The other thing that's causing the engine failures, Mark and Mary, is, and Taj and Mr. Roma, all these different people, is when you have computer glitches in your cars, the voltage drops on the single low side pump, and that single low side pump, when it's being ordered to do wide open throttle, it can't do it if it doesn't have the proper feed voltage. Two low side pumps, they don't have to be as big as the current low side pump, but two low side pumps, they could be medium in pump size, are able to keep up with the voltage drops. When the feed voltage is dropped from the computer glitches, from Global B, when modules leave the chat, when you have computer errors, those two pumps can still supply adequate fuel to the high side when the gasoline is good, okay? So good gasoline, you no longer are running lean in the cold weather at sea level, which we proved happens at the C7 Z06 even, at cold weather sea level, okay? So hopefully you guys understand this. Again, General Motors coincidentally implemented this invention, which this guy's scientific paper shows this is how you separate two phases of fuel. You have a feed, you have a T, and in general, one is going to go one way and the other is going to go the other. But when you're talking about, this is probably on a larger scale, like a septic tank scale, okay? Whereas here, we're talking about a micro scale, like the size of a straw. So here, gravity doesn't have such an effect. You just have different blobs of fluid coming up the straw, and you have the laminar effects on the side of the straw, on the side of the feed line, okay? And again, if you have a Y, instead of two dedicated feed lines, the Y is always going to be a natural tool to separate the two phases, because as a new particle comes up, it's always going to recoalesce with its like fluid, okay? Under pressure, it's under 70 PSI. And then when this comes up, it's going to recoalesce with its like fluid when it gets to the fork and it has to pick a way, okay? Pick a direction, pick a path. So hopefully everybody can understand this. This is the problem with the C8 Z06 lt6 engine. This is the problem with the upcoming lt7 engine. This is why the engines randomly blow. This is one of the reasons. The other reason is just the lack of two fuel pumps in general when you go under wide open throttle and you have a voltage glitch, which causes the engine to run lean. Harlan Charles, if you care about Corvette and you care about getting your job back, you'll share this video with the executives and you'll say, look, Brandon Byers is going to teach the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration this concept. We're doomed. I'm not the bad guy, Harlan Charles. You need to say this to the bosses. Say, Harlan Charles is not the bad guy. We need a new fuel system. You could say Brandon Byers is the bad guy. He's going to teach everybody this shit. But we need a new fuel system. We need to fix our cars immediately. Okay? That's it. Mark Royce, Mary Barra, if you guys are dumb enough to release the LT7 engine to the public, I give you my fucking word, we're going to be able to blow up the motors like clockwork. Like clockwork. Using regular fuel from regular gas stations, 93 octane. We will be able to blow up the motors because I know what the problem is. And I know the areas of the country where they get water in their gasoline often, like southern Florida where it rains a lot. Okay? This is a common issue on the C6 Z06. It's going to be an even worse problem on the C8 lt7 engine. I'm sorry. This is a big problem on the C8 Z06 lt6, okay? It's going to be a problem on the lt7 engine as well. I'm sorry, you guys got so many different things and then fake names of cars coming out, zr1 instead of Grand Sport. It's hard to keep up with describing everything accurately with all the silly names you guys use. Okay, thank you. See ya.